a playlist original.
Hey everyone, Jeff here from Films at Home. Thanks for coming back for another episode of the Films at Home podcast here in our bonus episode each week called Coming Soon. Now, today we're going to talk about what's coming out on Blu-ray and 4K for April 11th. This episode will drop on April 11th, so this is what you can buy in stores and online today. And then we're also going to talk about any news that's out there and also cover the different sales numbers and see which discs sold the best and how many Blu-rays were sold last week, the week ending April 1st. It goes Friday to Friday. So we'll get through all of that like we do in every episode. I'll give you my recommendations. I'll also talk about any deals that may be out there, and that'll pretty much be the episode. So to kick things off, of course, let's start with what's coming out on 4K and Blu-ray today, April 11th. Now, the big one today is probably Flashdance for a lot of you. Flashdance is getting a 4K UHD release for the first time, and there is going to be both a standard edition with a slipcover, which I have already in my collection, still need to review, but looks great. And then there's also going to be a Steelbook 4K release as well, which I think the artwork is it's okay. It's very 80s. So if you like that vibe, and I mean, Flashdance is very 80s. So if you like that vibe, you're going to like that Steelbook artwork. But you're going to have two different packaging options. And this is a great 4K release from Paramount. It is an upgrade on a previously released 4K transfer of Flashdance on Blu-ray. That was part of the Paramount Presents line, but it's nice to see them go back for the 40th anniversary and give us that full 4K edition. Now, surprisingly enough, there's only one other 4K release today. This has been a year where we've had 4K releases nonstop every week, multiple, like 3, 4, 5, 6, if not more. This week, there's only two, and the other one comes from the Criterion Collection, and it's another upgrade in their collection from a previously released Blu-ray, which I own, now coming to 4K, and that is The Fisher King, which stars Jeff Bridges and Robin Williams. Now, this movie was directed by Terry Gilliam. I think it's one of his probably more underrated movies, to be totally honest. Like, I think it's very underrated and more people should probably talk about it. It's a great Robin Williams role. It's a great Jeff Bridges role. They're both excellent. It's a very good movie. Is it one that I think I need to upgrade to 4K immediately? Probably not. I think the Blu-ray I have is probably good enough for me, but you now have that option, and it's always good to have options. Now, other stuff that's coming out on Blu-ray includes a couple of Jackie Chan movies actually coming from two separate studios. First, from 88 Films, we have Gorgeous, which is a Jackie Chan movie from 1999. Now, I do not know Jackie Chan and his filmography well, I'll be honest. I know Police Story, I know Rush Hour, and I know some of the more, the other American movies that he was in. Other than that, I haven't dove back deep into a lot of his stuff from his Hong Kong days. Gorgeous, I'm not sure what this movie is about. It is a special edition coming from 88 Films. They usually do great work, but I assume it's another one of his action movies. Usually they're pretty fun. The other one coming out, which also stars Jackie Chan, coincidentally, is from 1985, and it's from Arrow Video, called Heart of Dragon. Now, this is another action movie. Of course, Jackie Chan, action movie star in Hong Kong. He was the star, still may be. Michelle Yeoh maybe she's taken that over recently with all her success. But two Jackie Chan movies, both on Blu-ray, both with special editions, both from boutique labels. So very interesting. Jackie Chan, the Jackie Chan Renaissance, Shout Factory's done a couple Jackie Chan collections. I have Volume 1, Volume 2 is on its way to me, so I can dive into his filmography a little bit more. But it's kind of cool. We've had Police Story on 4K, the whole trilogy. Like, for whatever reason, the Jackie Chan stuff is back in full force. And so this week you get two more of those. Also releasing this week is Infinity Pool on Blu-ray, a movie I cannot wait to see that I didn't get a chance to see in theaters. This is Brandon Cronenberg's latest. He is the son of David Cronenberg. It stars Mia Goth and Alexander Skarsgård, both of who I really, really enjoy, especially Mia Goth with her recent turns in X and Pearl. She is an up-and-coming superstar, I think. You're going to be hearing about her everywhere for the next 4 or 5 years as long as she keeps making good choices. And Infinity Pool seems like another great choice. Brandon Cronenberg does excellent stuff. If you haven't seen his past movies, go check them out. I loved Possessor. Antiviral is also really good. He is following right in his father's footsteps and really making his own name in this industry. So Infinity Pool, one I'm very excited about. We're also getting Hell is for Heroes, a Steve McQueen movie that's coming out from Kino Lorber. So it's a Steve McQueen World War II movie, but it's not The Great Escape. But it is Nazis and it is Steve McQueen. So that one should be a lot of fun. And then also we've got the House of a Thousand Corpses, special edition 20th anniversary Blu-ray. Believe it or not, it's been 20 years since that movie came out. I still think that's probably Rob Zombie's best. Devil's Rejects is a close second. I also have a soft spot for his Halloween movies, but House of a Thousand Corpses is the one that really put him on the map movie-wise. He'd obviously been doing music, but really good movie, really good horror movie. And we're getting 2 different editions. There's a steelbook coming from Lionsgate and also a special edition with a nice slipcase. I wish they'd given us a 4K for the anniversary. Unfortunately, they did not, but this is still a cool release for collectors out there. And honestly, House of a Thousand Corpses, is it a movie that 4K would do much for? Probably not, right? Now, also coming on Blu-ray from Shout Factory is Flashback from 1990, stars Dennis Hopper and Kiefer Sutherland. Now, this one I had never heard about, and it interests me. I'll read you the synopsis real quick. But Kiefer Sutherland's an uptight 26-year-old FBI agent who's been assigned to escort an aging counterculture radical named Huey Walker for a trial that's decades old. Basically, it's sort of like a fish out of water story. It sounds like with Kiefer Sutherland's like this FBI, and Dennis Hopper plays this crazy hippie. So it sounds like an interesting sort of like buddy comedy, fish out of water comedy type deal. So seemed interesting enough, but I have to say that one I did not know existed before Shout Factory put it out. Now, the last one that I'll highlight for this week is Living, coming on Blu-ray from Sony Pictures. This has Bill Nighy. He actually got a nomination for Best Supporting Actor. It also was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay at the Oscars. Other than that, I didn't hear much about this movie until it was nominated, but it's one of those Sony Pictures like classics that you don't hear about, and they have kind of a small budget, and they just do like a great job with the production and the acting. But what's actually very interesting is that it's an English language adaptation of the script of Aikiru. So Aikiru is a very interesting movie in its own right, and that was actually directed, I want to get this right, so I'm going to Google it. Yeah, it's a Kurosawa movie. So Akira Kurosawa, obviously amazing Japanese director, and this basically takes that script but sets it in London in the 1950s. So kind of interesting. They're using the same script, but doing their own adaptation, hence the adapted screenplay nomination. But I heard Bill Nighy is very, very good in it. So if you want something that's maybe a little under the radar, that could be one you're interested in. All right, so now shifting over to our best sellers. This will be for the week ending 4/1. Remember, we're always about a week and a half behind when these reports come out from the great Media Play News. But if we look at the top 20 sellers on physical media for the week ending 4/1, the new movie Plane, Gerard Butler, Lionsgate movie, came out on 4K Blu-ray and DVD. That was the number one movie. It debuted that week, and it took the number one spot. It had a 61% Blu-ray share, 16% of that was 4K. So pretty decent Blu-ray share, about, less than 40% bought that on DVD. And then the number 2 spot was still Megan. Very, very strong showing there from Megan. A Man Called Otto dropped from number 2 to number 3. Puss in Boots actually ranked up from the 7th spot up to the number 4 spot. And a Batman movie, animated DC movie, Batman the Doom, that came to Gotham, which was only a Blu-ray and a 4K release. That's in the number 5 spot. Only 15% of people bought the 4K, but 100% of those sales were Blu-ray. Dragon Ball Zero Superhero remains in the top 6, dropped from number 5 to number 6 this week. Everything Everywhere All at Once went from the number 12 spot back into the top 10 at number 7. Rick and Morty Season 6, this was a new release for the week. That came in at number 8 with 67% buying that on Blu-ray. So those are pretty high numbers. Left Behind, Rise of the Antichrist dropped from number 3 to number 8. And then Missing was a new release from Sony. That was the follow-up to Searching, which I actually thought was very good. But that came in 10th place with just 46% sold on Blu-ray. So the majority of those discs were sold on DVD. Now, if we look at the top selling discs for the week, Blu-ray specifically to start, it's going to be most of what I just said. You've got Plane, Batman, number 2, Dragon Ball Superhero, number 3, Megan, Everything Everywhere at Once, Rick and Morty, Puss in Boots, All Quiet on the Western Front actually popped into the number 8 spot for Blu-ray specifically, John Wick, and A Man Called Otto. If we look, though, at the top-selling 4K discs, this is where I'm always interested because there's a ton of new 4K stuff coming out each week that's not going to separating it from just the standard Blu-ray is a good thing, I think, to look at because it's easier to see what's actually selling to the higher-end market, the higher-end collectors out there. And the number 1 spot was All Quiet on the Western Front. It was the best-selling 4K disc of the week, and I'm happy it was because it was one of my favorite discs that I've reviewed lately. Plane was number 2 on the list, and Everything Everywhere All at Once was in the number 3 spot. Now, Dragon Slayer was the previous week's number 1. That still held strong in the number 4 spot. And then we got a couple new releases from Shout Factory on this list, but The Exorcist 3 was brand new. That came in 5th. Batman, The Doom That Came to Gotham, also new, was in 6th. Then John Wick, Top Gun Maverick, Frozen Planet 2 from BBC rounds out the top 9. And then you got Black Panther. And I just wanted to mention also Dead Silence was the other Shout Factory release that came in the 11th spot for the week. And Wanted also, which was released by Shout Factory, and I don't think got nearly as much attention, but apparently looked very good, came in the 12th spot. So Shout Factory had a pretty good week with 3 out of the top 12 4K sellers. Lionsgate also had 3 out of the top 12 4K sellers. So a good week for Lionsgate and a good week for Shout Factory, at least on the 4K side of things. Now, when it comes to news, there wasn't a whole lot this week, but the one thing I did want to mention was the fact that we got a press release for Ant-Man 3 and Quantumania. And typically when Disney has done press releases for physical media, at least in the last few years since Disney Plus released, they would tell you, hey, it's going to be out on digital on this day and on Disney Plus and going to be out on Blu-ray. Interestingly enough, they gave us a digital date. They gave us a physical date. They did not give a Disney Plus date. So to me, that speaks to them sort of trying to get more money out of the VOD, video on demand services, first and foremost with digital purchases, then trying to get the most they can out of the physical market and paying attention to that market again, and then finally letting it go to Disney Plus, which is sort of the traditional method, but they had been pushing Disney Plus so hard that they were putting stuff on Disney Plus as soon as they could. And I think what they're realizing is the $7.99 or $9.99, whatever it is now a month for Disney Plus, it actually might be like $12 a month for Disney Plus. That's a monthly fee. They want to keep getting that recurring subscription money, but by putting something like Ant-Man 3 right out to Disney Plus, why would people buy it on digital? Why would people buy it on disc? They can get it on Disney Plus right away. So now you're only catering to collectors or people who actually want to own their movies, which is a smaller subset. But by making people wait for Disney Plus, they're still going to be subscribed to watch shows and different original programming. That's the reason why you really subscribe to these services, is the original programming. And now you can get Ant-Man, maybe in 6 months. But if you really want to watch it before then, you're going to either buy the digital or you're going to buy the physical Blu-ray or 4K release. And they're going to make more money that way and still retain Disney Plus subscribers with their original programming, which I've heard they're cutting back on and really focusing on quality over quantity, which is smart because that's the way to really do it. You have to have quality shows, not just a show every week. So it's an interesting shift that's happened with Avatar now. We still don't even have a physical release date, never mind when it'll be on Disney Plus. And now Ant-Man 3. So that's 2 in a row that they sort of reprioritized where they're putting their content. And it really does speak to the changes that Bob Iger seems to be making. And I think it is a good thing for physical. It's going to mean more physical media sales of Disney stuff, which should help the entire market because, as you can probably guess, the Disney stuff is the most popular stuff. If you put out something from Star Wars or Marvel or from Disney Pixar's animated catalog, that's going to outsell everything else in the week. It has the biggest mainstream audience. So I like the fact that they're shifting their release strategy. They'll definitely get more digital sales as well, don't get me wrong, but it should result in some more physical sales and should give them more incentive to put a little more effort, I guess, into those physical media releases, because it will be all that's out there for, who knows, maybe 3 or 4 months after the theatrical release. So now the only thing I wanted to cover this week outside of that was some deals, and I did want to talk about Kino Lorber. Kino has a spring sale going on right now. I think it runs the whole month. I think it runs to April 28th, but they have a ton of Blu-ray discs for $9.99, including some great horror movies that I have in my collection. They have The Hunchback of Notre Dame. They have Nosferatu. They have some other really great like film noir sets on sale. Their 4K discs are on sale. I saw Silence of the Lambs is like $13. Marathon Man is like $17. 12 Angry Men was on sale. So a lot of the newer stuff is on sale for pretty good prices. And just like I said, a ton of Blu-rays, either $7.99 or $9.99, which for Kino is a really good price for a boutique label. And typically you get a ton of extras and some pretty good, restoration, audio, video stuff as well. So I would go check them out, kinolorber.com. You go right to their site and then you just go to their shop, and there should be like a banner at the very top where they're running the sale, which is a pretty big deal for the Kino collectors out there. It's a great time of year to bulk up. And I did want to mention, because I just left this out, but the home video charts, if we look at distribution of the formats for this week, or the week ending April 1st. I should have mentioned this, but DVD 53% this week, Blu-ray 1080p 37%, and 4K at about 9%. So without any real big 4K titles, this push that we've been seeing for 4K to get to 20%, it's now back down, but 9% is pretty good. Like 10%, 9%, that's not bad. That's still on the higher end of what we've seen, but we were trending towards 20. Getting DVD sort of under 50% will be an interesting threshold to break, because what that says to me is that people are finally, the casual fans are upgrading. But at the same time, you got to remember, Walmart sells primarily DVDs, libraries buy DVDs, any video rental places out there that are still existing buy DVDs. Netflix still sells DVDs, through the mail. Redbox, DVDs. Like a lot of the DVD sales are probably for these big mass consumer type deals like a library or a Redbox, where they know that people don't care too much about the quality. So I think the DVD sales are a little bit inflated, but even seeing Blu-ray and 4K as a pair come close to that 50% mark, I want it to tip over 50% and then just keep going until we can convert more people. So still to be seen on that, but that's what's coming soon. April 11th, that's your news. That's your latest in deals. That's what's going on in the world of physical media. So if you liked this episode, please make sure you follow along on your favorite podcast app. If you're watching on YouTube, of course, make sure you're subscribed. Follow me on social media for all the latest from my channel. And of course, don't miss an episode by turning those notifications on YouTube and subscribing to the podcast feed so you never miss one of these weekly updates. So appreciate you guys listening or watching. Appreciate all the support for the podcast and all the bonus episodes. Hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I'll be back, of course, with more videos on the channel. So stay safe, stay healthy out there, and I will talk to you all soon.
Coming soon. Be sure to subscribe to the Films at Home podcast using your favorite app so you don't miss another episode. And while you're there, don't forget to rate and review this podcast, which helps us out tremendously. You can also help support us by watching our short-form content over on YouTube and TikTok by searching Films at Home. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at films_at_home. The intro and outro were created by Elin Osborne. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.